Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Alex, also known as The Rush. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done a video. It's almost been I think it's been years, actually. And, just life in general. Can't give any other explanation than that. Alright, so I'm doing videos again now, and this time I'm going to try to stay more consistent. So, that's my promise to you guys. I'm sorry if it doesn't happen as often, but it's my promise. And I will be doing Bellator events now. Uh, I just figure, more video time, more air time, and hey, maybe there'll be some good fights while I'm at it. All right, so I'm doing UFC 174. This is the biggest fight card of the year. Now, I'm not going to go into explanations on why it is. I'll tell you more when we get further along. Now, I'm going to explain something. One, this is just my opinions of who's going to win. If you don't like them, you can post them in the comments below, and you can tell me, why you think I'm wrong, why I'm this, why I'm that. Don't matter to me. Now, second, I want to explain I'm not going to do the Fight Pass fights. I'm not going to see them, so I can't give you proper feedback. Third, there will be a second video after this, after the event, to explain what happened. I'm going to try to go round by round, not go into great detail, but just what I saw and, give my opinion of the fight. Like, did I like it? Did I hate it? Did I think it was boring? Did I think it was stupid? Stuff like that. All right, so now that all the disclaimer crap is out of the way, let's get to the predictions. Okay, first fight is Randy Brown versus Mickey Gall. I'm going to talk about Randy Brown first. Was founded on the show of Looking for a Fight by Dana White. Very good kickboxer, very long, very tall. Problems. He's not had a consistent win record. I think he's got like 1 or 2 wins, and that's pretty much it. Every other guy he struggled against. So really, this is more of a need to win fight for him. Now, his opponent, on the other hand, Mickey Gall, well known if you know CM Punk. This is the guy that beat him. This is the guy that also beat Sage Northcutt. This is a guy that's pretty much well known in the MMA community. Problem, Mickey Gall hasn't fought in a while. He's only 4-0, so he's very inexperienced. And in the Sage Northcutt fight, he just looked like he was gassed. I think if Northcutt didn't shoot for those takedowns, I think the fight would have gone very different in the second and third round. Now, my prediction, I think I got to go Mickey Gall because Mickey Gall just has a better ground game. That's where he's going to want to get the fight. His striking's good enough to get it there. And really, Randy Brown hasn't impressed me. This is the fight he needs to make that impression for everybody. Otherwise, Mickey Gall's just going to add him to the list of victims at this point. All right, so I'm going submission. Jiu-Jitsu black belt, top grade. He's won every fight this point that way, so I wouldn't see any different. Knockout would be cool, but I'm going submission. Next fight, let's talk about Ovince St. Preux, people, and the great Corey Anderson. Now, this is one of those 2 fights in the card that's very undertaught. Not because of the lack of fame between the 2 of them, and not because of anything else. It's because all the other fights are so high profile. They're up here, and their fights like right here. It's insanity, I tell you. Now, the thing about this fight is both guys are coming off wins, but Ovince St. Preux made a better impression. OSP, great striker. Let me take that back. I mean, more of great power puncher. Got a lot of power in his hands. He showed it against Shogun. He can do it off his heels and off the back and off the front, but he's more of a grappler, really. He's a very high-level grappler, but do I think he's invincible? Not in the least. Now, the problem with, his opponent, Corey Anderson, great wrestler, Ultimate Fighter winner, and pretty decent stand-up for a wrestler. The problem is, for me, is just they're both grapplers. They're both grapplers. It's a great idea because this will lead to one of two things, people. One of two things. One, it's going to lead to a grappling match, which I don't think Corey Anderson wants to do, considering Owen St. Preux can submit him off his back and on top, and he doesn't want to go for a guillotine because that'll open for the Von Flue choke. The second option, I think is most likely, is it's going to be a stand-up war. And if Corey's more technical and more elusive, he'll take out OSP easy. But I'm going to go OSP on this one. A lot of momentum going right now. Got a big names on his record, and he's just got that one punch. One punch that's going to change everything. So, OSP, I think it's going to be knockout because he's going to want to prove something tonight. Well, at UFC 217. I don't know why I keep saying tonight. Well, back to the picks. Walt Harris versus Mark Godbeer. This is an interesting fight because it was supposed to happen at the last pay-per-view, UFC 216. But it didn't. Why? Because Derek Lewis got injured. Walt Harris stepped in on literally 1 hour's notice and took on Fabricio Verdun. Lost, but, it was a great experience, and I don't think he would have got it if it wasn't for that. Now they're going to do the fight again. This time, it's official. I don't know much about either guy. Walt Harris, I know, is a great boxer. Very well accomplished. Mark Godbeer, I think he's kind of the same thing. Like I said, this is probably the lowest profile fight on the card for me. And honestly, I got to give it to Walt Harris. He had courage to step up against Fabricio Verdun on short notice. And, he's taking on the same guy who was supposed to fight at the last pay-per-view. So I think he's going to get it. I think he's going to win. His boxing, from what I saw, is dangerous. It's the only way I can put it. So Walt Harris, he's going to get the win. Maybe a knockout. We can only hope. All right, main event for the prelims. James Vick, Joseph Duffy. I'm a big James Vick fan. I really am. I hated him on The Ultimate Fighter, but after he left the show, he was one of the few guys that got better as the show went on, as time went on. The show and time. Like, the top pick of the show was Justin Lawrence, and he disappeared very quickly. And yet, James Vick was like one of the bottom picks, people. One of the bottom picks. And he's just dominating. What do I think? Long range, very, very technical, very brutal, and he can hit you when you least expect him. Best case scenario for this fight is Joseph Duffy wants to get this in close because if he gets this to the ground, he might have a chance because he is one of the 3 men in the world, Nate Diaz and some other guy, to have submitted Ireland's own king, self-proclaimed king, Conor McGregor. Big accomplishment to the guy, but he's a brawler. He's a great grappler, but I think James Vick is just going to use his range. He's going to pick him apart, and it's really going to be a rough night for him. Now we're going to get to the main card. Johnny Hendricks versus Paulo Borrachia. but they call him Paulo Costa now, so thank God I'm going to call him that. Paulo Costa is my pick for the fight. I'm just going to say it right now. I've never liked Johnny Hendricks, never was a big fan. I respect he's a power puncher and a great wrestler, but his weight issues have been a problem, not this time around, but they've been a problem in the past, and it just looks like he's not into it anymore. He got knocked out by Tim Boetsch, which should have been an easy fight for him, to be honest. They're kind of giving him guys that he should beat, but he's either struggling or he loses to him. Now, don't get me wrong. Hector Lombard and Tim Boetsch are great middleweights. But here's the problem. Hector Lombard's not even ranked. So, and he's a silver medalist in judo. Or was it gold? I can't remember anymore. There's so many medalists now. But Hector Lombard's a very well-accomplished judo fighter and very powerful, but he just got picked apart by Hendricks too easily. On the other hand, Tim Boetsch has kind of been that guy who, you see him win one, then you see him lose one, then you see him win two, then you see him lose two. He's just not consistent, and yet he knocked out Johnny Hendricks. Tim Boetsch is strong. I just didn't think that would happen so effortlessly, is what I'm trying to get at. Johnny Hendricks, I think, is just getting up in that age where he's got decided he's not into this game anymore. And Paulo, however, 10 finishes, 10 wins, 0 losses. Enough said, man. Paulo's going to beat Johnny Hendricks, finish him most likely in my mind, and I think that'll be one of the big turning points of seeing the end of Johnny Hendricks and the rise of Paulo. Okay, now this next fight is a personal favorite of mine. Stephen Thompson, Jorge Masvidal. People, why are we not talking about this fight? Why? This is one of the biggest fights on the card. We're literally talking two guys wanting a shot at the champ, Tyron Woodley. Now, to understand the situation, Colby Covington's the only guy right now that has any real say at getting the title. But we're not going to talk about him much because this isn't his night, and I don't want to touch on the controversy. Now, these two guys both have history with Woodley, one fighting him twice, and in my opinion, beating him twice. The other guy is a teammate. Yeah, it's just that, really. Now, Stephen Thompson, elusive striker. Very technical, very accurate, and a lot of spinning techniques that should work. But he's going to have the hardest time because he's going to need to really destroy Jorge Masvidal to solidify a case to even get another title shot, considering how bad the last one was. I watched that fight. It was bad, but I just don't see how Woodley pulled that off. One knockdown and a takedown at the end of the fight should not equivalent to a win. It should. On the other hand, Jorge Masvidal. Most people don't even know who that guy is. I know him pretty well, and he's a very good striker, great wrestler. He's got jiu-jitsu, and he's got the mindset he belongs as a champion. Now, Jorge Masvidal has struggled with judges' decisions in the past. Another problem for Jorge Masvidal is he's got wins over some really big names. The biggest name I can think of right now is Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And in all realism here, we're talking about a guy who's got this win and still isn't known What the hell? But in my heart, I'm going to say it's going to be Thompson. I love Jorge. I love both of these guys. But Thompson's just got too advanced striking. And Woodley had a very difficult time just pinning after him. Does Jorge have a really good chance? Absolutely. But it's going to be Thompson. I just got it in my heart that Thompson's just too good of a striker and too elusive on the feet. So, end quote, Stephen Thompson wins. Now, up next is the 3 title fights. I like to point out that, as a little fact, this has only happened one other time. And that was at the New York event, UFC 205. Now, here's one thing that's the same. Joanna was on both of those cards. Joanna's fighting Rose Namajunas this time. And a lot of people are saying Rose can't beat her. I think you guys are nuts. Really? I mean, what about Rose do you say she can't beat her? Yeah, Joanna's a great Muay Thai fighter. She's one of the best in the world, and she knows how to win. But here's the thing. Claudia Gadelha, Jessica Andrade. What did both of those girls do early on in that fight that showed so many holes in her game? They got her to the ground. They used jiu-jitsu. So I think Rose's biggest weapon right now is her jiu-jitsu game. I think she's a better grappler than both of them. Andrade was more into the slamming. Claudia was more into the wrestling. I think if Rose, they were both more active for submissions, could have been a different fight. So the question here is, who do I pick? I think it's Rose. Honestly, I think she's got absolutely nothing on her shoulders. There's no pressure on her to win because a lot of people are already counting her out. And honestly, Rose has played the upset before against the likes of Paige Van Zandt and Michelle Watterson and Tisha Torres. If she can upset them, why is Joanna such a big task? So I think if this is going to be a war, but I think Rose gets into the ground, she's going to submit her. So we're going to have a new champion in Rose Namajunas. Now, Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw. I'm not going to go into the personal issues there. You can look that up for yourself. Ask whoever you want in the MMA community. Everybody pretty much knows what this is about. If you don't, then just ask them because I'm not going to go into the details about it because it's too sketchy, too iffy on both sides. Now, TJ Dillashaw, great Muay Thai, great wrestler, Ultimate Fighter finalist. I'd like to point that out. He got knocked out by John Dodson, people. Knocked out by John Dodson. Now, there's no shame in that. But he's just shown a susceptibility to his jaw. And honestly, yeah, his striking's improved, his wrestling's great. But that's always going to be on the forefront of my mind, and I think it's just going to be something to really watch for. TJ Dillashaw, in my mind, got stunned in his first title defense against Joe Soto. Now, Joe didn't win, but he proved a point that really it's not really about talent half the time. It's about landing that right shot. And then, let's face facts. TJ Dillashaw lost to Dominic Cruz. I don't care what anyone says. You can post your hate comments about it. You can say what you want. But he got taken down. He got dominated. And he just got tagged too much. Now, Cody Garbrandt, on the other hand, beat Dominic Cruz, a guy that destroyed Uriah Faber once. Robbed him of a split decision the second time. Again, not going to go into that. Cody Garbrandt destroyed him, knocked him down multiple times, caused him to bleed, outworked him, and pretty much just shut down his entire game. TJ couldn't even do that. TJ didn't even know what he was doing? So I think Cody's just riding high right now. He's got nothing to lose in this big title fight other than his belt and his gym's pride. But really, what does TJ really bring to the table he hasn't seen yet? Yes, he's got great wrestling. He trains with great wrestlers. Yes, he's got great Muay Thai. Dominic Cruz was a much more elusive striker. Really, if TJ's just going to stand there and try that whole bob and weave thing that he's been trying all that time, he's going to get tagged at some degree, and it's going to rock his world. So, my pick, Cody Garbrandt. I hope he knocks him out, but we'll see. All right, finally, the main event. The biggest fight on the card. Now, I want to explain just really quickly why this is such a big deal for me. Michael Bisping and George St. Pierre. Both guys are from the same time period of the early age of the UFC. Or, as many I like to say, the pre-Reebok era. Now, Michael Bisping was never a champion. He was a top, maybe 5 contender during that entire time frame. But he never could win the fight that meant the most, which was a fight to get to Anderson Silva. George St. Pierre, on the other hand, was the champion for the longest time. Best welterweight, hands down. Now, you're probably going to ask, I probably would ask if I was looking at this, well then, what is George St. Pierre bringing back that from the 4-year times off? Well, he's not cutting as much weight as before, so we could see a faster George St. Pierre. The thing is, for me, I've already got George St. Pierre winning just purely on one thing, wrestling. And pretty much how Bisping's looked as of right now. Bisping's kind of been dodging everybody. He's not really defended the title. He's done it once against an aging Dan Henderson. And even then, he barely pulled off. I think it was maybe because it was in England, but, whatever. Yeah, it's just Bisping's shown so many holes in his game. He's getting to that point where he's hitting almost his 40s. And I don't think even GSP is that old. I think he's like 34, maybe 35 at the most. So for me, it's that case of who do you think is going to come in ready? George St. Pierre is going to come in ready. Guy's fired up. He's ready to go. So George St. Pierre, I think he's going to join the list of Randy Couture, BJ Penn, and Conor McGregor as a 2-division champion. All right, those are my picks. Do you guys agree with them? Do you disagree with them? If so, like I said, leave comments at the bottom. Whatever you want to do. I'll see you guys after the fights. I'll recap the fights, like I said, and I'll give my ratings on it from a 1 to 5, which is 1 is horrible, or 5 for oh my god, you need to watch the replay. All right, well, this has been The Rush. I will see you guys after UFC 214. And see, I can't even remember the pay-per-view. 217. I will see you after UFC 217. Also note that I will also be doing different videos for maybe top 5 guys in each weight class internationally from my perspective, but I'm still working on that, so stay tuned, and I hope to see you guys again soon. All right, take care.